Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Wispin here, and welcome back to another video here on the Pokecentral network. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the winners of the Haunted Tower build contest. So if you guys aren't aware, we actually hosted a build contest here on the Pokecentral network. We are going to be hosting more of these very, very soon. The next one should start by Monday, which is only a couple days away, so be on the lookout for that. But in this video, we are going to go around, we're going to check out the 4 runner-up builds for the Haunted Tower build contest, and then we're going to check out the finalists, the winner. We're going to look at their build and probably talk a little bit about what exactly we're going to be doing with these haunted towers. So just for a quick little reminder, the first place winner actually gets $100 sent straight to their PayPal, just cash money, or they get $200 store credit for the Pokecentral network. And then all of the runner-up builds, which we will have, I believe, 3. I said 4, but originally, it was 3 runner-up builds. I've actually changed it to 4 because there's just so many amazing builds. We got over 180 submissions for this contest. So while I can't actually go through and showcase every single build that was submitted, I am going to show the 4 runner-up. And then we're going to go ahead and check out the winner. So let's just jump straight into things with runner-up number 1. I will say these runner-up builds are in no particular order. It wasn't like a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th kind of thing. It's just there's the winner and then there's the 4 runner-ups. All right, so here we have runner-up number 1, which is a tower built by the Big Rocket Man. So the reason this tower didn't actually win is because it didn't really give me enough of a haunted tower vibe. It's a really awesome build. I really do like it, but it kind of reminded me of the tower that you find Ho-Oh in the actually main series game. So the problem is that isn't actually, I don't think, a haunted tower, but it still looks really cool, and there is some purple flares, which I guess is sort of like a haunted color. And then when you go inside, there's a ton of space. So while we didn't actually select this build to use it as the haunted tower, it could be really cool if we use this build as something else here on the server. So that is always a possibility for these builds. The reason I love doing the build contest in-game on the server is because we have access to all these builds. So we can just contact the owner, ask them if they're okay with us using their build, and then we can just easily use it since it's already on the server. We don't have to go out and get access to it. So another thing is this build had no interior. While that wasn't a requirement for the build contest, a lot of the other builds did take the time to make a interior, and I feel like that even though it isn't a specific thing you had to do, it does give you a couple bonus points if you took the time to do that. So let's go ahead and check out runner-up number 2. All right, so we have moved on to the 2nd runner-up in no particular order. This is the, I guess, Haunted Clock Tower build, which, again, I think this is a really awesome build, and I could definitely see us using it in some way or another. The problem I actually had with this build is that a big section of it in the middle isn't really all that detailed, but also, when you're down at the bottom, it doesn't look quite as good as when you're up flying above it. And I noticed this with a lot of the builds. A lot of people build while they're flying around, so they only really look at the build from one perspective, which is like up here. And I feel like this build actually looks really good when you're flying up above it, but when you're down below on the ground looking up, it doesn't really have quite the same effect. It's still a really nice build, don't get me wrong. But when you're walking in and you're down here, it gave me a different effect. And then the interior is actually cool, but it's a little bit tight. There's really not that much space to move around in here. And if we're talking about, 50, 60, 70, even 100 plus players on a server all using an area, it's pretty important that there's a lot of space on the inside. Now, of course, that's something we could change. But yeah, this is runner-up number 2. Let's jump into the 3rd build. All right, so here is build number 3, which is a Haunted Mansion style build. Now, of course, there's still a tower, so it does fit the theme, and it's a really, really cool build, especially when, again, you look from it while you're flying. So this is another one of those where I feel like from like up here, this angle, it looks absolutely incredible. Once you get on the ground like a regular player, it does still look pretty cool, but just not quite as cool. And then while I know they were going with like a lack of color to kind of fit the haunted theme, I do feel like it's a little bit too washed out, just a little bit too washed out. It's a little bit hard to see some of the details that are actually in the build because it's all one color. Now, I will say this one had a really cool interior, really detailed, really incredible, really fun to walk around and explore. But it does have that problem where a lot of the interior is pretty tight corridors. Not so much a problem because there's just so much space for people to spread out. But yeah, it's a really cool build. I actually really like it, and there's a lot of stuff we could do with it, but not quite the first place build that we're going to be using here on the server. Let's move on to the fourth and final runner-up, and then we'll check out the winner. So here is the final runner-up build, which is actually a pretty different style compared to every other build I saw in the contest. This is more of like a, I guess, modern city kind of haunted tower, like maybe a skyscraper of some kind. It's not that tall, but you probably get what I'm trying to say. It's a pretty cool build. It's actually really unique compared to the rest of them, and that is why I decided to select it, because it's a good build plus super unique. So this is the final runner-up. Now, like I said, these runner-up builds were in no particular order. Some were probably a little bit better than others, but they're all really good. And I did not go from the best to the worst or the worst to the best or anything like that. And this build is actually cool because it has parkour and it has a pretty cool interior. I tried to do that parkour twice. I failed, so we're just going to fly. And there's a lot of stuff to explore in here, which is one thing that I really, really ended up enjoying with the builds is the people that took the extra time to work on the interior and really add something unique and cool to it. But with that being said, that is our final runner-up. So let's go ahead and jump into the winning build for the Haunted Tower build contest. Actually, before we jump into that, I want to go ahead and quickly say, for all the people that entered this contest and didn't get a winning slot and didn't get their build showcased, I am really sorry about that. I would love to have been able to show off all 180 builds, but that would probably take about 2 hours worth of video and probably not be that fun to watch. I will say a lot of the other builds that were submitted to the contest were really amazing, and they only lost out for a couple of different reasons, a lot of which was just size. There was a lot of builds that were like 10 by 10, 15 by 15, or even a pretty small size of like 20 by 20, but the whole build didn't fill out that space completely. And what that means is we're not really able to use it on the server because, like I said, there can be up to 120 players online. They need to be able to be supported by the builds around them. So we can't have 120 players running in a 10 by 10 area. So that is why a lot of the builds didn't actually get selected. I probably should have been more clear when we started this contest. And for future contests, I will be. We are going to go with a little bit of a more open size requirement, but we are going to explain that there is 120 players on the server. So if we're using the build for official server builds, depending on what it's being used for, it needs to be pretty large. So here we are. We have arrived, and we will be showing off the winning build. Now, this was a really hard choice. Like I said, 180 entries that I had to go through. I visited all of them, and this is the one that really stood out to me, and I felt like it would be the best to use for the official server build. So here it is. The final winner of the Haunted Tower build contest is actually Thick Boy. Nice username as well. And this is the build. It looks pretty cool. It is really awesome, really unique. A lot of work definitely went into it. And I actually noticed this build was changing quite a bit as I saw it. So I saw it a few times, and then I saw it again and it would improve. And there was just little changes that he made to really make this build come to life and feel really cool. So let's go ahead and check it out. We'll go in the interior as well as the exterior, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about why this build won. So let's go ahead and check out the interior as well. So this wasn't my favorite interior out of all of the builds, but the exterior plus the interior was really, really nice. It's really gray in here, but that's it's not bad. It's a haunted tower. It's meant to be like a castle towery build, so it really does suit it pretty well. Now, it is a little bit confusing in here, and I do have plans to slightly modify the interior of the build, which I've already started to work on. And so I'll showcase that here in a minute, but it is really cool. There's so many different pathways to explore, so many different routes you can take around the build, and it really just leads to a lot of really unique places that we can use to make some really cool content here for the server. So while we're walking around, I'll talk a little bit about what exactly we plan on using this build for. So outside the build, all around it, and even in this main area, we plan on actually having Pokemon spawners, which will spawn Pokemon that are level 65, 75, 85, somewhere in that range that you can actually level grind on, as well as just have Pokemon to battle that are pretty high levels. All those Pokemon will be most likely ghost type Pokemon to fit with the Haunted Tower theme, but you can get a lot of Pokemon that give decent experience, like Golurk or Drifloon. They give a pretty decent experience because experience is actually based on the HP value. So while ghost Pokemon generally have pretty bad HP values, there's a few that will add that will have decent ones that you can level grind on. So that is really cool. But also we are planning on adding in 3 NPCs, one for each of the ghost type mega Pokemon. That is Gengar, and actually not all ghost types. So we're going to have Absol here as well, which is a dark type. I felt like that kind of fit in the theme. We're going to have Bayonet, which is the ghost type, and then we're going to have Gengar, which is the ghost poison type. And the way that's going to work is similar to, if you guys know about Sir Carpington here on the server, which is the Gyarados mega boss NPC. The NPC will actually give you a loot box when you defeat it. You can defeat it once every 7 days, and you can collect that loot box, and it has a chance of giving a bunch of really cool rewards, including nature tokens, the Mega Stone that fits with the Pokemon, and a few other things that are actually pretty valuable. And so I'm not actually going to show off any more of the interior of this build, and we're going to go ahead and jump on into actually showing off how we're going to be using this build on the server. So guys, I apologize for any of the background noise. There is actually construction going on, so hopefully it's not too annoying and too loud. We are coming to pretty close to the end of the video anyways, and I want to make sure that I can get it uploaded today, so we're just going to have to try and work through this and ignore it as much as possible. So you'll notice I am actually here on the server in the training zone, which might seem a little bit weird, but we are actually locking this Haunted Tower content behind the training zone access. So if you warp training here on the server, you can pay for access to the training zone. We are actually changing how that's going to work. You are going to be able to, well, currently it's 1,000,000 coins for 30 days, which is a little bit absurd. We're going to be changing it to, I think, somewhere around 20,000 coins per day. And you'll be able to buy it in 1 day, 7 day, or 30-day increments, which it'll get cheaper with the higher amount that you buy. So that's pretty cool. It should make things a lot easier. I will say, like, currently, if we broke it down, I think it would be somewhere around like 35,000 per day if you paid $1 million for a month. Math could be wrong on that, but it'll be about 20,000 a day to access this area. You'll only have to pay for 1 day if you want, so you can pay for every 7 days and get access to the 3 bosses. But if you head down this way over here, you can actually enter what kind of looks like a little portal in the back of this room, and it is going to teleport you into the Haunted Tower area. So I've gone ahead, I've terraformed the area around here, I've added in some trees. I decided against adding in grass because it makes it a little more difficult to battle Pokemon, but as you can see, there is tons of super high level Pokemon all around here. And then we have the tower, which I modified the interior on. So what I wanted to do was make kind of like one main room here in the front, and then we'll have different areas you can explore in the back. I'm not going to get into anything but this main room, but as you can see, there's a lot of pretty high-level Pokemon spawning around here. Now, this build is not accessible at the time this video goes live. It will be going up Saturday, which is tomorrow if you're watching this right when I upload it. Saturday at 2 p.m. EST. That is the time that it is going to be live for you guys to come and check out. So it's about 24 hours from when I'm recording this, which means probably like 22 to 21 hours after it uploaded. But 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the server, you'll be able to access the Haunted Tower event, which is pretty much just a permanent event here on the server. But it's really going to be, I think, pretty cool. I have a ton of plans for different challenges and different things you can complete. And then, of course, we have all of the loot that you're going to be able to gain here on top on being able to farm these Pokemon. So I highly recommend while you're waiting for this build to go live, make sure you are grinding for that cash so you can pay to access the training zone. The prices have not changed yet. They will be changed by the time this event goes live, so just hold off on buying access if you were planning on it, if you don't have the money, and it will be lowered cost so you can access this a little bit easier. It'll be 20,000 coins a day. Pretty cheap, pretty easy to get. Highly recommend you start saving up though, so that you can come on, check it out. And I promise you guys, the loot that you get just from 1 day's worth of grinding here, especially the first time you come, will definitely be worth the 20,000 coins. So with all that aside, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Congratulations to Thick Boy for being the winner of this contest, and I can't wait for you guys to hop online and come check it out. There will be a video tomorrow, which will actually be showcasing all of the different challenges and events and different things like that that go along with this build. So make sure, keep an eye out for that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do enjoy the build contest as well as this type of content where I show off a bunch of different builds and pick a winner, let me know down in the comment section below. If you have any ideas for how we can improve build contests for the future, please also let me know that as well. I'm always happy to hear your guys' ideas and feedback. It's actually super helpful. The server wouldn't be where it is today without your guys' input. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.